People watch terrified as their church goes up in flames. Fear and bewilderment spread through the crowd as the sacred symbols of their faith are desecrated. Here in Egypt, as in Syria and so many other parts of the Middle East, the cycle of violence has deepened, winding to Africa and beyond. Few communities have escaped the conflict, but Christians have suffered the most religious persecution. They are intimidated in schools and the workplace, and are denied access to healthcare and other basic services. Others have to run for their lives as their homes and places of worship come under attack. Many are killed for their faith. In Egypt, 17-year-old Christian student Ayman Labib refused to cover up the cross tattooed on his wrist. His teacher began to throttle him. He ran away, but was caught by classmates who beat him to death. And in Yemen, an extremist group recently posted a video online showing a Christian man being crucified. Now, Catholic charity Aid to the Church in Need, a pontifical foundation under Pope Francis, has carried out a fresh investigation into anti-Christian persecution today. Persecuted and Forgotten, a report on Christians oppressed for their faith, concludes that in 20 of the 30 worst offending countries, the problems have deepened over the period 2011 to 2013. A massive exodus of Christians is taking place from key regions where until recently they were strong in number and influence. Christianity's status as a worldwide religion is now at risk. Syria's Melkite Greek Catholic Patriarch Gregorius III told ACN recently that 450,000 of his country's Christians, a significant proportion of the total, were now internally displaced or living as refugees abroad. Already decimated in Iraq, the Christian presence is now in peril in Syria and in Egypt too. The Arab Spring has turned into a Christian winter, and Christianity in the Middle East is now at risk of disappearing. The crisis is linked to increasing extremist Islamist violence. Strongly present in the Middle East, fundamentalist aggression against Christians is now widely felt in Africa, the Asian subcontinent and beyond. There too, Christianity is at risk. Christian girls in their teens have been raped, forced to convert and marry men they have barely met. Pro-nationalist extremists of other faith traditions have increasingly threatened Christians in Sri Lanka, Burma and India. Meanwhile, communist regimes have mounted fresh crackdowns on Christian communities, targeting clergy and faithful. In China, Christian communities are forcibly closed down. Bishops are put under house arrest. And in North Korea, formal religious activity remains virtually nil. Pope Francis has said, to find martyrs, we don't need to go to the catacombs or to the Colosseum. Today there are martyrs in a great many countries. Our church, he said, is a church of martyrs. The 21st century has already unleashed a fresh cycle of fear and violence. Defenceless, frequently ignored, and living as a minority in a hostile environment, the future is bleak for many. ACN's Persecuted and Forgotten report shines a light on their suffering. Against a background of malaise and misinformation on the subject, this report is an appeal for compassion and justice. Urgent action is needed to safeguard faith communities at risk of being extinguished. Change can only come if the faces of suffering are shown to the world. If we could do nothing else, let us do what we can to ensure that persecuted Christians are never forgotten.